What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Mystic Watch, and today's video is going to be a Madara in-depth analysis. So I haven't done an in-depth analysis in a while, and it's just like, I don't know if people liked it or not, so I'm going to bring it back, see how it does, because I am not an entertaining person. So at least when it comes to the information, I can give you guys the best thing that I know how to do, and do brown things, which is do math. Okay, so going for school for engineering, we can do this much at least. So let's just jump straight into it. So these videos tend to be a little bit longer, but I'm gonna try to keep them around try to keep them around 10 to 15 minutes. Usually if I do an overview and I go very quickly, like I can probably get that between like 5 to 8 minutes. I'd say like around 5 minutes if I just go over and tell you guys briefly what he does. But in here I go over the damages, things like that, things you want to know. So starting off, Madara Uchiha, he is the latest Blazing best character that dropped in Naruto Blazing. He is a mid-range, as you can see here, right there. The cost is 100, so he is one of the few 100 cost units in the game. Now I gotta double check on who it is, but I know so Final Valley Naruto, Final Valley Sasuke, Madara Kaguya are 100 cost units. Besides that, I'm not positive who else is. I think I gotta pull it up, honestly. I'm not sure, but pretty much being a 100 cost unit is better, since what they end up doing is that because the cost is higher, it justifies Bandai to make the unit more powerful. And that's kind of how it goes, right? Lower cost, weaker unit, higher cost, higher unit. It doesn't always follow that guideline, but it's kind of the idea. So, taking a look at his HP and attack. And by the way, before I get started, this is the Naruto Blazing Wikia that I'm using. And I'm actually not sure who runs this, but I want to say shout out to whoever put this together, because normally I use the Reddit, but ever since this Wikia came up, or wiki, whatever, it's been a lot easier to use this. It's very cleanly written, and the layout of it is very nice. So I'll include the link to this down below. And like I said, I'm not sure who to give the proper credit to, but I'm just going to give it to the website as a whole. Now, going at the HP and strength, we got 2010 HP and 2042 attack. Now this is not including the pills, right? This is without pills. Keep that in mind. Pills right here. Now you can see that Madara has a very extremely high attack for some reason, right? Like, well, that's just a standard now. Before, if you could break 2000 attack as a mid-range unit, you were instantly considered top tier. So I would say this, the same is pretty much now. Now these are Ninja World Clash stats. I'm going to be very frank with you. He is not good in Ninja World Clash because he has two restrictions on him. One is his speed. The other restriction is the fact that his jutsu right here requires a status ailment to gain 2 multiplier out in PvP. And that is just not good, unfortunately. So, yeah, just something to keep in mind. Is that if you can get this to work consistently, at that point you're not doing enough damage to justify running him, honestly. So I would just refrain from that. When this guy gets a limit break, however long down the road, at that point he'll be perfectly fine in PvP. But right now he's not. Now you can run him. You just once you get to those higher areas, you're probably not going to do well anymore. But getting up to like Ambu, you can probably run him up until Jonin, right? Like Jonin will probably start having issues. Trying to climb up with this guy. Moving on, field skill reduces bravery elemental damage by 25 to 30%. This is a just very good and not common, but a very good field skill. Normally field skills are 20 to 25% damage reduction. Those are the better ones to begin with. This is good for the fact that it is bravery elemental damage and it increases the damage by 5%. So instead of 20 to 25%, he's doing 25 to 30%. And like I said, since he's not good in PvP, it doesn't matter that it's bravery elemental damage, right? If he was a PvP unit, then the fact that it was restricted to bravery elemental would be bad. But since he is a PvE focused unit, when you bring him out onto PvE and you're going to be doing wisdom only missions, right? You don't bring rainbow teams in this game. So whenever you're doing your wisdom only missions, this is exactly what you're going to be looking for, because if it's a bravery mission, you want this exactly. And then the same thing, like if it's a non-bravery mission, you're probably not going to be having trouble with it anyways. Buddy skill boosts wisdom attack by 350. Very solid. Just a good overall. Helps nuke with someone else. Dude, keep your 2 nukers like back to back. So you would have Madara here, and then you would have whoever your other nuker is, Blazing Fest Minato, for example, right below. Now, sync skills, nothing. This is really nothing that exceptional. Sync all except wisdom is pretty decent, but the fact that it's sync all except wisdom makes it so that well, the thing is, you don't really need, when it comes to SS rank, you're going to be syncing all except wisdom anyways, so I guess this is pretty good. But the sync with wisdom and sync with Uchiha, really not that good. They're just like, okay, he should get, you know, it's always, the best ones are, I wouldn't even say attack boosts, the best ones are always just damage reductions across the board. The other one, I mean, like, if they gave you a lot of attack ups, for example, Final Valley Sasuke gives you plus 400 for sync with body, I think, and like plus 400 with sync with Uchiha. So that's a lot of attack boosts, right? 800 attack ups is a lot. So if they gave him something similar, like sync with Uchiha plus 500, all of a sudden that becomes a top tier sync skill, but it isn't. So now on top of that, all the damage that he already does, he's got 4 of these damage boost against a certain skill type, all of them being 20%. Now, I don't know why it's 20% when the Blazing Fest Kakashi's is 40% across the board and he has all 5 elements. So that's the one thing. I feel like this should have been met in the middle and probably should have been 30%. But at that point, I mean, he's doing a lot of damage. I don't know. I think 30% would have been really good. And then reduce wisdom damage taken by 25%, reduce bravery damage taken. These are just solid overall. You know, 25% damage reduction for the neutral type elements. They're always going to be useful. Very nice. Now, let's get into his actual damage. What does he do, right? Actual damage. Let's take a look. I got my calculator out here. Oh, don't do that. Okay, so let's see if, let's say you don't have a status ailment, right? So you're doing 5 times 2142 because you're including pills. It's doing 10,710. Increased by 1.5 for type effectiveness, 16,000 damage, right? Okay, 16,000 damage without any, without any dupes or without the status, you know, without this multiplier increase right there. So what does he do with the 6.5 multiplier? 6.5 times 2142. That's the neutral damage, and then this is the type effective damage, right? 20,884. Now the thing is, he doesn't have a boost against. He doesn't have a boost against bravery, so this is the maximum damage he's going to be doing on his normal jutsu unless you boost it some other way, right? But his neutral damage is actually higher than we assume it to be, since if you do have a max dupes, his neutral damage will always be, let's see, 2142 times 1.2 for the 20% damage increase. So his neutral damage will always be about 17,000 damage. And at that point, that is very good, right? 17,000 damage neutral is just gonna hit hard. Now, let's see, like, let's say you did want to bring him to PvP. What would he do then? So let's say, I'm not even going to bother with the 3 times multiplier. 5 times, what is his thing here? 3776. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's right. 18,000 damage, neutral. But, let's say you have him fully duped. You're doing 22,000 damage, neutral damage. 22,000 neutral damage. Let's... 1.2. Now, let's say you wanted to hit a bravery unit, right? You're going to be doing 28,000 damage against a bravery unit. Now, see, that's what I meant by it's not enough damage. When you're doing type effective damage, now the goal is in PvP, or at least the meta, requires you to be doing 30,000 damage, usually. Right, that's not the case when you're going, well, this is AoE, so maybe I'm just being a little, like, the fact that he's so slow makes me feel like that he should be doing more damage, but I guess this is still solid damage, so I can't complain about that. He's still doing a lot of damage. And if you have a max dupe, I guess he'll probably be really good in PvP. And it's the same thing's gonna apply. Like, maybe if you have a max dupe, you could get decently far into Ambu, but after a certain point, he's just gonna hold you back from the speed. He's not tanky, right? That's the big thing. He has 42,000 HP, right? That's fine. And he's got these 2 damage reduction right here, but unless you're sticking him with the buddy skill of damage reduction, he's still going to be taking a lot of damage, right? 2 jutsus might just clock him out, and at that point, getting 2 jutsus was, at first, kind of hard to do, but now with every other unit generating chakra, from ultra combos and things like that, it's really not that hard to dedicate 2 jutsus to killing a person. And honestly, they might just leave him alone, because he's just so slow. that they'll run laps around him. Okay, so moving on, ultimate. What is he doing ultimate jutsu wise? Ultimate jutsu, let's see, 16. Well, actually, let's just go straight to the 19.5, right? 19.5 times 2142, doing 41,769 neutral damage. Let's include the dupes, right? Neutral damage, so he's doing 50,000 neutral damage, right? But it does not negate type disadvantage. So that's the one thing. Well, what am I'm dumb. I forgot to use wisdom for a second. My bad. I'm so used to seeing that on every single unit, so when I don't see it, I'm just like, bad unit. Okay. Let's see how much damage he does against Bravery. 62,653 damage, but this is full AoE, right? Let me just make sure I did that right. Yes, okay, 62,653. So where does that put him on the scale of people who hit hard, right? At least for wisdom units, right? Is he the hardest hitter? He's not. If you guys want to know who the actual hardest hitter was, unless someone else came in and take his spot, the hardest hitter for single target is Night Guy, right? Against Bravery. He does 83,000 damage. But, so to keep Night Guy, the farmable Night Guy, just keep that in mind, is the hardest hitting wisdom unit. Now, to compare with, let's see, who else has an AoE jutsu, just so you guys, the hardest hitting AoE jutsu is now Rinnegan Sasuke at 51,000 damage. So this guy, Madara, is the now hardest hitting AoE user, but he's not the hardest hitting overall wisdom. Now, I don't know how much we value AoE over single target, but I think for a roughly 20,000 attack decrease, this is a pretty solid number. So to give you guys an idea of where else he falls in line, following up Night Guy, you have Blazing Fist Minato at 72,000 damage. Then you have Susanoo Sasuke at 64,000 damage. And then this is the new Madara fitting into that number 4th slot for hardest hitting wisdom unit. So I actually expected him to be slightly higher, right? But you gotta keep in mind that like units like, I guess, I'm comparing him to Kaguya, or even the Sage Mode Jiraiya. They all hit around 80,000 damage. So I guess this is relatively reasonable. And the same thing with the Final Valley units, right? They all hit around that 80,000 damage, 70,000 damage point. So having 62,000, about 63,000 damage is pretty good, right? So I can't complain with that. That's really it for this Madara. Let me know what you guys think. The one thing I'm going to start doing is showing you guys the chakra, the damage per chakra. But I want to start compiling a list. So just to give you guys an idea of what Madara's damage per chakra is, it's exactly what it says, right? How much damage do they do per chakra given? So he's an 8 chakra user. So let's take a look at, we divide this by 8. He's doing 8,000 roughly damage per chakra on his ultimate jutsu, AoE. So to compare it to Rinnegan Sasuke, whose ultimate does 51,200, and let's say he has 8 chakra as well, even though he has technically 10 chakra, but it goes down to 8. He's doing 6,400 even. So it's good amount more damage per chakra. Damage per chakra is a very good number to consider when doing these analysis. So I know it might not seem like anything right now because I have nothing to compare it to, but in the future, when I start continuing to do these, I'm going to compile a list of damage per chakra of all the top tier units. So you guys can see just where everyone stacks AoE versus single target. That's really it for this video. Hopefully you guys liked it. I try to keep it under 15 minutes, but I'm borderline right there. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Let me know down below if you want to keep on seeing these for other units. And for example, I can do it for the anniversary units. I can do it for, who else? Blazing Bash units. I can do it for the Blazing Awakened farmable units and super impact units and so on. And like I said, like the video, comment down below, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.